but something's off. They're wearing clothes you've never seen before. They're speaking a language you don't recognize at all. Their skin is green. Hello, welcome to this episode of the You Two Scare Me podcast. I'm Andi.
And I'm Feliz, and we are joining you here from Key West. In case you don't know us, we are the podcast that makes you scared to go outside, scared to stay inside, and honestly just scared.
That's the idea. We lean into it. But we also are two spooky, silly girls, so we make sure to laugh along the way to keep it light and fun. Speaking of fun, what's going on with you?
Well, let's think. We did something fun last night. Should we tell them?
Okay, we can tell them.
Okay, so I think Andi is more versed in this realm than me, but we had a reading with a medium.
Yes, and she was super legit, incredible. We are hoping and planning to have her on the podcast, so
yes.
You could maybe meet her. Also, she's very under the radar, doesn't advertise anything like that.
Yeah.
But she was shockingly accurate about something.
It was insane.
and she's never met me before. She's never seen the podcast, heard the podcast, anything like that.
Yeah.
And within like 5 seconds, she was like, first of all, calm yourself down. Second of all.
She said, Andi, she's a high viber. Which we knew that.
Vibing high.
Yeah.
But she was like, are you moving in like a year? And I was like, maybe.
Yeah.
And then
she was like, you are.
She was like, no,
P.S.
you are.
You are.
And I'm like, where? And she's like, don't know yet, but not here. And I was
like, she told us a lot of things. And we were pretty tight-lipped, I think, and during the process or whatever. But she told us some things that were insane. And there's no way that you could know this thing. And she told us some very personal things. Yeah. And also she told us some exciting things about our podcast.
Yes.
That there are great things to come. So
it was really interesting though, because she read some tarot cards for us. And so each of us had a little spread and it was supposed to be past, present, and future. And our cards matched. Like it was
and complemented each other.
Yeah, it was crazy and signified basically the same thing. And she said, so about a year ago there was something that started, an idea of something. We're a year into our podcast.
Yes.
So it was crazy.
Yeah.
Like we're grabbing on each other like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But she said great things are to come with the pod.
Yes.
So help us be great.
Yeah, and we have a lot of really cool things coming up, interesting things coming up. We have a lot of ideas. So we hope that you continue to join us on this ride. It's really
stay tuned.
Yes, it's exciting.
So something else super cool. Okay. First there was like a kind of like wah-wah.
Yeah, we had a little sad news
moment because we were supposed to go to Coastal Haunts Paracon in Georgia, and then the event got canceled because there was a lot of organizational issues and I don't know, things like that happening. So we were pretty bummed. So then we were like, okay, pivot. What else can we do? So we started researching.
Yeah.
And I found Obscuracon in Eureka Springs, which
Arkansas.
In case you don't know, is notorious for paranormal activity.
And there's a super haunted hotel there called the Crescent Hotel. We are staying there.
We are.
Or part of our stay.
And then there's another hotel called the Basin Park Hotel, which is also very haunted and looks super cool. And we're staying there too.
Yes.
And we both called and talked to people and we're like, hey, do you have a spooky room? And they both were like, oh, got it. Yeah. We know just the place for you.
They're so nice and so cool about it. We're really, really excited. So, and I think that we have some things up our sleeves too.
Yeah.
I don't know, like spice things up a little bit with the podcast. So we're really excited.
I'm really looking forward to the trip and just really excited. So, and interestingly, it's the same weekend as our original event was supposed to be. So I think it might be one of those sort of like kismet
I think so too.
You know, maybe this is what was meant to happen. I don't know.
I think it is.
But I'm excited.
It's funny because I was actually just thinking about the Crescent Hotel and like, we need to get there. We got to go check it out. And then boom, this thing came up. So,
and we're going.
Yes, we are very excited.
I'm so ready to go on our trip and ready for everything. And another thing I'm ready for is to get to the spooky stuff today.
Oh my gosh, yes. Which reminds me of something we need everyone to know and understand. Full disclosure. We know we don't know anything or understand anything about what's happening with any of this spooky stuff.
That's accurate. But we still love exploring it. We also have a deep respect for the unknown and the unseen forces at work around us.
We hope to bring you stories that make you question and give you a chill.
But a quick warning before we begin. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Our tales are drawn from folklore, history, and reported experiences, but we don't claim them as fact. Some stories may include sensitive topics, so listener discretion is advised.
Dive into the shadows with us as we bring you haunting tales in this episode of the You Two Scare Me podcast. Shall we dive in?
Today, we are diving into a story that I absolutely love.
Okay.
Picture this. You're a peasant farmer in medieval England around 1200s-ish.
Okay.
So, it's already terrible.
Yeah, I already am not on board.
No medicine, no plumbing, nothing.
Yes.
You're just out in your field during harvest season, doing your thing, doing whatever medieval people do. And you look over toward one of the wolf pits. FYI, that's a pit that they dug to trap wolves.
Okay, I was wondering.
Apparently wolves were a real problem back then.
Okay.
So you look over at this wolf pit and there are two children sitting there. Just sitting, looking at you. But something's off. They're wearing clothes you've never seen before. They're speaking a language you don't recognize at all. There's something else. Their skin is green.
Oh.
Like, actually really green.
Okay.
The written accounts say the children are notably, unmistakably, strangely green. Today we are diving deep into the story of the Green Children of Woolpit. All right. Before I even get into what happened, I want to tell you about the sources because I think this is part of what makes the story so hard to just dismiss.
Okay.
The story has two main sources. Both are medieval. The first source is a man named William of Newburgh. He's a canon, which is a religious official, and he's writing around the year 1189 in a priory that's way up in Yorkshire, the north of England.
Okay.
And he says in his writing, and I love this, that his account is based on reports from a number of trustworthy sources. So that's already interesting. Mm-hmm. He didn't see it himself, but he's saying a bunch of other people did, right? Okay. And the second writer is Ralph of Coggeshall. He's the abbot of a Cistercian abbey about 26 miles south of Woolpit. He writes his version of the Green Children of Woolpit in the 1220s. So they're a couple decades apart, but they're similar. But the difference is Ralph actually names his source. He writes that Sir Richard de Cown of Wykes is the source of the story. Ralph writes not only did Sir Richard see the children, he personally took the children to his home.
Ooh.
So this is an interesting detail because it turns out that records show Sir Richard de Cown of Wykes Manor lived about 6 miles from where the children were found.
Whoa.
So that tracks.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. These two guys are telling the same story, but with slightly different details. Typically, people would say that one writer copied off of the other writer's work, but scholars are pretty confident that they weren't copying each other. William is writing from the north of England. Ralph is writing from the south decades later. There's no evidence that one had ever seen the other's work. So there's these two guys independently who arrived at the same story from different sources with different details about the same green children. And for me, I don't know. I feel like that's enough to say something happened.
Yeah.
So let's get back to the story.
Okay.
It's harvest time in Woolpit, which is a village in Suffolk, England. We think it's during the reign of King Stephen, so it's somewhere between 1135 and 1154. The villagers are out working. They find these two children at the end of one of the wolf pits, those traps that I mentioned before. Mm-hmm. The village is literally named after the wolf pits. Woolpit, wolf pit.
Okay.
And the children, they appear to be human. They're presumed to be brother and sister. Mm-hmm. They look just like normal human children, but their skin is green. Their clothing is strange. Nobody in the village has ever seen anything like it. And they're speaking a language that literally nobody can identify.
They're aliens. I mean, easy.
So the villagers don't know what to do with them, but it seems like they need help. These two children are all alone. So the villagers bring them to Richard de Calne's manor, the guy that Ralph named as his source. And for days, the children are there. They refuse to eat. They won't touch anything that's offered. And then, and this is one of my favorite details because it's so oddly specific, someone brings in raw broad beans still in the stalks. And these kids absolutely lose their minds for the beans.
Oh.
They start feasting. It's the only thing they will eat. And just so you know, raw broad beans are what we in America call fava beans.
Oh.
I love that so much because it's so random that you're like, who would make up this detail?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I just feel like if you're making up a story about supernatural children from who knows where,
Yeah.
you're going to pick something more exotic for them to eat.
Then
you know?
fava beans.
Right.
and a whatever, a Chianti. What is it? What does Hannibal Lecter say?
Oh, I think it is a Chianti.
Chianti and some fava beans.
Whoa, I didn't even think of that connection.
Really?
Wow.
That's literally all I know about fava beans. I never had a
you
fava
some.
bean in my life.
Make you some. Maybe you'll turn green.
Maybe.
So, anyway, it just seems oddly specific. Like somebody actually remembered that, you know. So the children stay at the manor and they hang out for a while. Over time, their diet gradually expands and they start eating other foods. As they start eating different foods, the green color starts to fade from their skin. They start to look normal. Side note, this reminds me of a story about a cousin of mine who, when he was a child, loved carrots so much he would only eat carrots.
Yes.
And he developed an orangish hue.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, But anyway, it just made me think of it so. And then I remember being a
Carrot
child.
cousin.
Yeah, my mom told me that story, so I was afraid to eat too many carrots. But anyway,
Yeah.
we'll get
Oh my
back to
gosh.
the green kids.
Okay.
So there were two of them, remember, a boy and a girl. The boy is younger than the girl, and he was described as sickly from the start. As time goes on, he never really adjusts. The villagers decide to baptize the children. He gets baptized and dies. Either right before or after the baptism. The sources are a little bit unclear on the exact timing, but he doesn't make it. The girl survives, though. She adjusts, she grows, she eventually even learns English. Time goes on and she ends up working as a servant in Richard de Calne's household for years. And then she starts talking. So once she can communicate in English, she starts explaining where they came from. And this is where it gets genuinely eerie. She says they came from a land where the sun never shines, where the light is always like twilight, that dim, diffused light, before, after sunrise, sunset. She said it was always like that, never fully day, never fully night. And in one version of her account, well, Ralph's version of her account, she says everything in their land is green. The landscape, the light, everything is green. And in William's version of the story, she gives their home a name. She calls it St. Martin's Land. So you might be asking yourself, okay, so where is St. Martin's Land? And how did they get to Woolpit from St. Martin's Land?
Yeah.
So here's where the two stories kind of diverge a little bit, which is interesting. In William's version, the girl says that they were herding their father's cattle when they heard a loud noise. William specifically writes it sounded like the bells of Bury St. Edmund's Abbey, which sounds like this. I have a clip for you.
Okay.
Okay. Some really intense bell action. They heard the bells and then they were just here.
Whoa.
In
The wolf pit in Woolpit.
The wolf pit in Woolpit, yeah.
Okay.
And they had no memory of the journey, no explanation for how they got from there to here. It was just like they blinked and were somewhere else. In Ralph's version, it's slightly different. In that version, she says they followed the cattle into a cave. Then they heard the sound of bells and followed them. They just kept walking until they came out into our world.
Whoa.
So it's like the cave was a passage between their world and ours.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have to tell you what happens to her eventually. William writes that the girl ends up marrying a man from King's Lynn, which is a town about 40 miles from Woolpit. And when William was writing, she was still alive there. A modern historian and astronomer named Duncan Lunnan actually dug into Richard de Calne's family records and concluded that the mysterious girl was given the name Agnes and that she married a royal official named Richard Barr. And also, William notes that she was considered in the household to be, quote, very wanton and impudent.
Okay.
So she, I guess, did what she wanted.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. She had her own mind.
Yeah, she was not falling in line there. So,
Wow.
let's talk about some theories about what people think is going on with the Green Children.
Okay.
There's a few major schools of thought, and I'm going to walk you through them from the most grounded to the most unhinged.
Okay. I want to see where I fall because I have a couple of ideas too.
Okay. Let's start with the grounded, boring version.
Okay.
In 1998, a historian named Paul Harris put forth what's the most widely cited but boring explanation. He says the children were Flemish, like from Belgium.
Okay.
So in the early 12th century, there was a significant wave of Flemish immigrants into eastern England. These people were cloth workers, skilled tradespeople. And then when Henry II became king in 1154, there was the persecution of Flemish communities. In 1173, there was a battle, the Battle of Fornham, where Flemish mercenaries were slaughtered. And there was likely violence against peaceful Flemish settlers in the area. The theory is that the children could have been orphaned, their parents killed, and their community destroyed, and so they were traumatized, they fled. And so speaking Flemish, which nobody in Woolpit would recognize, wearing Flemish clothes, which may have been different, might explain all of that. But what about their green skin? Harris says it was hypochromic anemia, which is sometimes called green sickness. Apparently, it's a dietary deficiency that can genuinely give your skin a greenish hint.
Okay.
And Harris even suggests that their homeland of St. Martin's Land was Fornham St. Martin, a real village just north of Bury St. Edmunds with a significant Flemish population. It seems like a rational explanation, like...
They wandered off. They're a little sick. That's why they look that way. They speak a different language. They're wearing different clothing.
Right. People are not familiar in the village. Paul Harris suggests that the bells that they heard are the actual bells that I just played from you from Bury St. Edmunds, guiding them towards civilization. And once they got proper nutrition, their green faded. But it doesn't explain everything. Richard de Calne was educated and he was well connected. Flemish wasn't just some crazy obscure language, There were Flemish tradespeople all over the region. So would somebody really not recognize even like a little hint of that language? When you hear a language and it's a real language.
Also, especially if they're being persecuted, they probably, at the very least, people know about them because they're persecuting them.
That's
you
true.
know what I mean?
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other people point out that if the green skin was caused by that anemic disease, then a lot of people in medieval England were also malnourished. Why would just these specific children have this green color when presumably other people were also starving? It seems like their green color had to be striking enough that two independent writers in different parts of England both went, let's write this down.
Yeah. For sure.
Okay, let's get stranger.
Okay.
So we'll talk about folklore. Scholars of folklore notice that this story fits a very specific, very old pattern. The passage into another world through a cave or an underground tunnel is everywhere in medieval tradition.
Okay.
Gerald of Wales, another medieval writer, tells the story of a boy who follows two little people through an underground passage into a land with fields and rivers. And I want you to listen closely to this description.
Okay.
It was not lit by the full light of the sun. So that's almost word for word what Agnes described, right? So folklorists have made a lot out of that. The idea being that Woolpit sits on top of, or at least adjacent to, some much older folk tradition about another world, a land beneath our own, the underworld.
Yeah.
And here's where it gets really interesting because remember the beans?
Yes.
a really prominent folklorist named K.M. Briggs pointed out that in many cultural traditions, beans are the food of the dead. They specifically are associated with the underworld, with the realm of the dead. So it's said that maybe the children from the underworld only recognize the food of the dead because that's where they're from.
Ooh.
Some scholars have even argued that the two children together, the boy who dies, the girl who survives, represent some kind of balance.
Yeah.
Like in the famous Arthurian legend with the Green Knight, who notably also had green skin.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Where green it symbolizes the boundary between life and death.
Mm-hmm.
It's the idea that the boy had to return to death. The girl gets to continue and cross into life.
Okay.
The green skin fades as she adapts to our world to symbolize the crossing from death into life.
Okay.
So that's the sort of like folklore explanation behind it. But there's more proposed explanations.
Okay.
A modern historian named Jeffrey Jerome Cohen proposes the Green Children are actually a coded story about racial difference, specifically about the Welsh who had been conquered by the Anglo-Saxons and the Normans. He argues the Green Children represent the memory of the people who were there before, who were pushed to the margins or forced to be assimilated. The boy dies rather than adapt, and so that represents, in his words, an otherness that will perish to endure. In other words, those who cannot survive assimilation.
Okay.
He suggests the girl who does survive, but is considered impudent and wanton for the rest of her life, are those who adapted but never quite fit in, were never fully accepted, forever labeled as the girl from somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, let's get unhinged.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's go alien.
Yeah.
So remember Duncan Lunan, the astronomer who identified Agnes? Actually, he also wrote about the Green Children from a very different angle. His argument focuses on the description of the land they came from. So remember, perpetual twilight, a sun that never fully rises, everything green tinted, green skinned inhabitants. This is exactly what a planet orbiting a red dwarf star would be like. Red dwarf stars are dimmer with a different light spectrum. A planet in the habitable zone of a red dwarf star would receive less intense light. Life evolving there would look different. And in a green dominant light environment, skin would absorb light differently. Green skin could be a natural adaptation, not a disease, not anemia, just that's what life looks like there. So remember, the kids couldn't explain how they got here. They heard a sound and then they were just poof, here.
Yeah.
No memory of the journey. What if the cave description is just the closest frame of reference that they had for describing whatever they came through? They went into something weird happened, and they came out here.
Wow.
The bells were maybe some kind of signal or guide or something that activated and pulled them here. And then they were stuck in the 12th century.
Whoa.
In Suffolk.
Bummer.
Right? No way back. No way to explain where they'd come from.
Yeah.
And maybe the boy died because he couldn't adapt to our environment.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
You know, he was described as sickly from the start. He never improved. Maybe the girl was stronger or luckier or had something about her that made her better.
A little older.
Yeah, like able to handle the transition better. So what do you think they were?
Okay, I was thinking aliens, but now I'm kind of thinking and this could be aliens too. I don't know, like interdimensional beings. Like they are actually part of our world, but in a dimension that we can't see or don't know about. And then they somehow hopped over.
Yeah.
That's my theory.
All right. I like it. I keep coming back to the green skin, right? It's so hard for me to get past it. It's so specific, but then it fades. And so that's interesting to me. It's also something that both writers wrote about. They recorded, and they also both wrote that the color changed when their diet changed. So that seems like, you know, we're actually describing something that really happened. I don't know what the phenomenon is, but it's something, right? Yeah. And maybe the folkloric layer isn't covering up the truth, but maybe it's part of the truth, you know? Whatever the children were, whatever world they came from, the medieval understanding of the underworld, maybe it's not so different from like a parallel dimension.
Yeah, or a portal or something like that. Yeah.
Another planet. Maybe it's just all different language for the same thing.
That's what I was thinking when you were talking about the folklore piece. I'm like, I feel like we have lots of writing throughout history, and it's just things are written as people understood them at that time, you know, and when you go back and look at it through a different lens, you might be like, oh, actually they were describing this, or, you know, especially like when people were out exploring the world and creating maps and they were seeing this or that and they thought it was this, or describing animals or whatever. And you're like, oh, now we know that's a giraffe or whatever.
Right.
Or a crocodile, and they might have called it a dragon or whatever. You know what I mean? They were describing what they knew in their own terms.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure if it's a parallel dimension. I don't know if they went through like a wormhole and, you know,
just popped in,
came here from who knows where, like another planet, another solar system, like who knows, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe they are us, but in, you know, a timeline where something's happened to the sun, or you know, who knows.
Because they look like us, except green,
right, or they're us in the future. Oh, yeah. I don't know. So it could be a time slip, it could be like interdimensional travel, it could be interplanetary, intergalactic travel. I don't know, but I don't think that they're just humans who had a deficiency, or, you know,
they're not just Flemish people or Flemish people.
The Flemish. But before we wrap this up, there's a few more interesting details.
Okay.
Woolpit is still a village in Suffolk today. The actual Woolpits are gone now, but the story is not. It just keeps resurfacing. It shows up in William Camden's Britannia in 1586. It gets picked up in the 1600s by Robert Burton, who said, I love this, that children had fallen from heaven. It inspired Francis Godwin, the Bishop of Hereford, who wrote an alien sci-fi fiction story called The Man in the Moon, moon with an E, about a journey to the moon, and used the Green Children as evidence that other inhabited worlds exist. And then in the 20th century, the poet Herbert Reed called this story essentially the perfect fantasy. He was so obsessed, he wrote a whole novel based on it 800 years after the story originated. Oh, wow. There's even an Anglo-Norwegian band literally called the Green Children who named themselves after the story.
That's cool.
They look pretty cool. There's been children's plays, books, community operas. Everyone's obsessed with this story. You know, maybe it's because it touches part of us that suspects there might be places, you know, adjacent to ours, or like, you know, stacked dimensions, worlds that sit right next to our own where you can almost slip through. And then there's a detail I've been saving. Okay. There's a local author, a folk singer named Bob Roberts, who wrote in his 1978 book that he was told there are still people in Woolpit who are descended from the Green Children. Ooh. But when he asked who they were, nobody would tell him. So there might be people in the village right now who know or believe that they came from somewhere else. That they came from the Twilight place. That their great, however many times grandmother, was a girl with green skin who came out of a wolf pit one harvest season and never went back. Whoa. Want to go to Woolpit, see if anything comes up?
Yeah, definitely. You know what's so striking about this story is that those kids were actually taken in and protected by that community, even though they were weird, right? Like, which, especially back then, whatever, in the 1100s or 1200s or whenever you said it was, you know, they were living in a small community where probably nothing ever happened. You know what I mean? They stayed very, I'm guessing they probably stayed pretty localized and to themselves. And so then these kids, these little weird kids showed up and they took them in and fed them, cared for them. And also like they cared for her for forever, and then continued even after, you know, they're continuing to protect her descendants. Yeah. I think that's really striking.
That is cool. Yeah. I didn't think of it that way, but I love that. You're right. I think too, at that time, I mean, daily life was a struggle, right? Yes. So it shows maybe a lot of that community or the heart of the community that they did take these strange people in.
Yeah.
Took care of them when they probably didn't have much to give.
Yes.
Although that guy did have the Churd, I think it was his name, who took them in. He had a manor, so I think he was a little more well-to-do,
Okay.
you know. But still, you take these people and you take care of them. You're going to baptize them, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really interesting. But I love, too, the idea that there's these descendants there who probably know the story.
Yeah.
And
Or they've heard it
oh my gosh,
handed down and handed down.
let's look at their DNA.
Oh, yeah.
What if they're like, you know, unidentifiable or something?
Yeah.
That would be so crazy.
I know. I mean, we're hearing a lot of weird stuff in the news right now, all about this kind of stuff. You know, I have a feeling more these kinds of stories are going to be coming out.
I know. I just can't decide what I think about them. I can't decide if they're from, you know, a parallel dimension or if they're from another planet. I don't know.
I don't know either.
We may never know.
We'll probably never know. I had to guess. Well, are you ready for Somebody Told Me?
I'm ready.
Okay. So this story, I was kind of like digging back through some old messages that I've gotten on social media. So this is a possible poltergeist story.
Ooh.
All right. So this is Alex. And Alex, I don't know if Alex is a boy or a girl. Anyway, Alex said, I believe my grandparents' house had a poltergeist. I was house/pet sitting for them. I had always felt like something was watching me when I stayed there at night, and the rooms would get randomly cold. The 2 golden retrievers were sleeping on the bed with me the first night there. I woke up after feeling something aggressively shove the mattress. The dogs were growling, and it sounded like someone was dragging their nails on the wall along the room.
Whoa, no.
It was 2:33 a.m. when this happened. And 14 minutes later, I heard 3 thumps on the wall down the hall. The dogs wouldn't settle, and I was awake for the rest of the night. I looked in the morning, and the mattress had been pushed slightly off the box spring.
Stop it.
This happened when I was 17. If I knew then what I know now, I certainly would have tried to cast whatever it was out. My grandparents have sold the house now.
Oh my god.
That's just a creepy, classic, spooky poltergeist or whatever story.
Ew,
I don't know.
I hate everything about that.
Yeah, what's your spookiest part of that story?
Well, I always hate threes, like knocks of 3.
Yeah.
I hate that. That's like, to me, that's always bad.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true or not, but that's my thing.
Me too. I agree with that.
Based on
every scary movie you've ever seen in your whole life.
Yeah, and you know the whole demon thing.
Yeah.
But also I'm imagining anywhere. I mean, as a 17-year-old or now, but hearing nails scraping along the wall, that's so unnerving.
It's horrifying.
I mean,
I
don't
even like to think about that.
Yeah, I like the moving of the mattress and like that stuff doesn't scare me as much. But like, man, the nails and the knocks, I don't like that at all.
I don't like it that you can that whatever it was could shove a mattress.
That's true. I mean, that's a lot of force.
Yeah, that's very spooky.
Oh, gosh.
So there you go. There's a little sprinkle of super extra spooky to finish the episode with.
And as a side note, right before Feliz started reading that, there was a big clatter here, and we thought it was the dog. Realized the dog is upstairs, and one of the pictures fell off the wall. So
there's
weird.
that. And then we told a poltergeist story.
I know, what the heck.
Anywho.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up.
Okay. On to happier things. Thanks for that spooky story, Feliz, that I'm going to have nightmares about. And thank you to all of you for listening to this episode of the You Two Scare Me podcast.
If you loved this episode, please leave us a review, tell a friend or 7. Specifically, tell a friend who likes spooky things or could use a good scare.
Don't forget to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Come check out our website for super cool You Two Scare Me merch. Our website also has episode notes, photos, and more. Don't forget to follow us on social media. Find us on Instagram at You2ScareMe_podcast or on our Facebook page, You Two Scare Me Podcast. You can even follow us on TikTok You Two Scare Me podcast, no spaces.
And if you are a descendant of the Green Children, let us know.
Yes,
we have
please.
questions,
Yes,
but
we
no
do.
judgment.
No, we'll keep your secret.
Or if you have your own weird, unusual, or paranormal experience, send it to us for our Somebody Told Me segment at youtwoscaremepodcast@gmail.com. That's YOUTWO scare me podcast@gmail.com.
Thanks for wandering through the shadows with us.
Until next time, stay curious and beware what lurks beyond the light.